smooth on ours.
I love you laughing.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Can they hear us right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey guys.
And can they see us?
I think they can.
Why does it look like it already
It is
went?
delayed. It is delayed. All right.
That's weird.
There we go. Hey guys.
Hey guys.
It's
we're
11:11 and we're
here.
together.
Hello. We're so happy to be here in California.
Yes, we are here together. It is the Real Ones, and we are just checking online. We're looking at phones.
Yeah, just trying
The
to
tech
see.
side of this is all so interesting because
It's just going to get smoother and smoother. We're still not really smooth at it, but that's okay. Like we said before, it is what it is, right?
we're being
And you're
real.
sure we're live, right?
Yeah, it
yeah.
sometimes takes a minute.
No. Okay. All right.
Do you see
I'm
us?
trusting you.
All
I
right.
don't.
Look
but
here.
Can anybody else see us?
Somebody chime in. But see, we need to look at our. So there we are.
Oh, see, it's just delayed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll trust you.
Yes.
All right. So we are kicking off today with some expansive conversation. And we wanted to address a few things that have been on the page. And one was Karen Pascarella's post the other day about relationships and when relationships end. And my experience with relationships is when you start to raise your vibe and when you start to awaken, people are going to have different responses to you because you're not vibrating the same way. Like if you could imagine that we've got this vibration going out and we're meeting with people and we're attracting people that are on the same vibration. When you raise your vibe, if people aren't there with you, they're just going to fall away. So they're either going to stop texting you, stop trying to get together with you. And it's really easy to take it personally. You know, it's really easy to say, oh, that person's ignoring me, even though you don't really want to spend time with them. But the truth is, if you can get rid of all of that, I know Don Miguel Ruiz writes that book, The Four Agreements, such a good book. That was the book that made me go, okay, I don't have to take things personally anymore. Like those are my wounds and I don't need to have people reflecting those wounds anymore. So letting that go is going to be so freeing for you. Right before I left for California, I would be in Connecticut, and I lived in Connecticut my entire life. So I would see people I knew all over the place. We were really active in a big church for a while. And so I knew a lot of people. And for the last, like, I would say 6 months that I lived there, people would not see me. I was literally invisible going through the grocery store, which was great because I didn't have to do small talk or tell them that I was moving or all of those different things. So, because I wasn't taking it personally, it was like, oh, cool. Like I'm invisible and I don't have to do those painful conversations anymore. So it doesn't mean people are ignoring you or throwing you away. It just means it's vibrational alignment. That's all it is.
I love that
Have you
so
had
much.
experiences with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's so freeing when you don't take things personally. And that's what I've been really working on recently is not caring really what people think about me. And I'm still finding myself triggered. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I care about that? But when you go in, again, it's a wound from the past that is coming up. And as soon as you can deal with that and acknowledge it and let it go, then you can just move through life so much simpler and so much easier.
It's true. And it's all a story that we decide to tell ourselves. Like, what's the story that I'm telling myself about this? And is that story serving me?
Right.
Do I have more things to heal within, or can I let that story go and can I create a new story? Because the new story is always going to be from that upper vibrational alignment, and it's always going to feel better. It's all about the way we feel anyways.
Well, and I was having this epiphany on my drive up here. I came up from San Diego to visit my bestie.
Yay.
And I was having such clarity around like stepping out of our like shell that we've created within our life. And, you know, it's just is like, oh my gosh, I just want to like unzip this just being that is inside of myself and step out and just not care what anyone thinks and just be joyful. Like this time of year, I've had a story around like, oh, it's not the way it used to be or what it's supposed to be. And then I'm all sad and it's like, no, like, so I just celebrated Christmas with my kids this weekend and my ex-husband, and we had so much fun.
Amazing.
We went ice skating
On
down
the
near the beach. It
On
was
the beach. I
so
gotta
much
do
fun.
this.
Yeah.
That sounds so
And then we
fun.
went home and we made our whole Christmas dinner that we always did. And in the morning we did our stockings and we had cinnamon rolls, which we've always done. And, you know, it was on the 14th of December. And so who cares what day you celebrate Christmas? You
Doesn't
know,
matter.
the point is we were together and we had so much fun. And now I've just like, I feel so free. Like this whole Christmas thing had me all locked up around how's it going to be
Pressure
and the pressure,
family and
right?
everybody having
And
to
it's
get
got to be on the
along.
25th
Yeah.
and all of that. And
Yep.
and I was like, this is like the best thing ever to travel before the holidays. There's nobody like traveling right now because everybody's waiting to all do
Yep.
it in next week. So I'm like, this is a miracle.
It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
And there was something that someone had shared with me the other day, and she's newly divorced a few years, and she was saying how she went to the boat parade by herself with her dog and how she felt so different being there because she's felt grief before. And yeah, we have to work through our grief, but it's not necessary to carry that grief into 10 years or even 5 years or even 3 years. We can, you know, work with the feelings underneath if we really get real and go inside and say, you know, what is this clearing for me? What is the new strength and power I'm going to step into because of this situation? And what are the new stories I want to wrap around my situations? I used to get really sad at Christmas because we had such a big Christmas, and now our Christmases are a little bit smaller. Of course, I'm with all the people that I absolutely adore, and we get to do whatever we want.
Right.
Like we can be movie people on Christmas now. We can go to Starbucks. We can go to the beach. We can do whatever we want. So it's just wrapping a new story around whatever you're feeling sadness about. Get in touch with it, release it, thank it for whatever it has healed within you, and then move on towards something more joyful. Because if we're in charge,
right,
we're totally in charge.
Right. And so if we want to have that grief and stay in that, you know, momentum,
sometimes we need to,
right, but to feel it, no, don't discount it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, wow, it's just so freeing to let go of what you think it should be, or that expectation, you know,
or
and
what
just,
it's been in the past.
Right,
because a lot of times too, I've noticed like we've romanticized what we used to experience in the past, and it really wasn't as great as we like to remember. You know, even like my family relationships that I've had to let go of, I would feel grief and sadness, and it's like, I don't need to do that. That wasn't really as fun as I'm remembering it to be. It actually kind of sucked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and it just reminds me once again how much we beat ourselves up with thoughts. And I'm like, these aren't even, it's not like we're taking a baseball bat and hitting ourselves over the head. We have these little
really just
electrons, neurons
They're
and
habits.
things that are floating around in our heads, and then we're like beating ourselves up about it. So just being in the present moment is the cure
for everything.
Seriously everything, to let go of that, those overriding feelings of anxiousness and grief and sadness and, you know, these low vibrations, and just be like, wow, I really, I love myself. I'm just going to, you know, acknowledge that within me, but then what can I do in this moment to make it more joyful?
Absolutely. And you had said something, I think, on the webinar about just how sometimes we pick up on other people's, like there's a lot of anxious energy right now, and there's a lot of grief around us right now. Like the holidays seem to amp everything up. No matter what you're feeling, it seems to be at like a different level. So I realized the other day when I was driving around, I've got this party, and then my daughter surprised me and came early with her husband, and then you're here, and then my daughter and my grandbaby come tomorrow. And so I've got a lot. There's a lot, right? And everyone's staying with us, where before we had other places for people to stay. Like everyone's going to be in the house, which is perfect. Like we have the perfect amount of space. But I was driving around, I was like, God, I feel so good right now. Like I feel so calm and joyful that we get to do this for everyone, where before, even last year, I would feel this like angst about, I have all this cooking to do and I got to do this and I got to do this. And instead I was like, I'm just going to be present and be with this beautiful day. And the party was amazing. It went off like so easily. And I was like, this is what life can really be if you're just present and you've done the mind training, because the mind is going to try to drag you into your to-do list and your overwhelmment, especially because all this energy is around us on earth. So once we raise our vibe and we are committed to our meditation practice and we're committed to our gratitude practice, we're tuned into a different station. So all those anxious stations, we're not even gonna meet those anxious people, you know? And if we do meet them, they are going to benefit from our calm. They're going to
right.
benefit from our peace, and they're going to go, God, that person is just making me feel better just being in their presence.
Yeah.
So it's magic.
I love it.
It's
And I
freaking
love
magic.
that you even said, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, because you felt so calm and peaceful. But then even that, you had a thought of like, wait, am I going to be screwed later today because I'm
like,
not
am
all.
I being overconfident?
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling so chill. I'm like, but no, I took a shower and everybody came and it was perfect. And there was no, it was not necessary.
Right.
And before parties is probably, I'm at my worst usually in the past. Cause it's like, I'm always worried about what people are going to say about my house, and the house has to be perfect. And like, I had none of that. So it's pretty cool.
That is so
It's
cool.
a whole different
And I love
level.
it too, because even just wandering around like these last couple days, you know, because we kept saying to our family, like, oh my God, look at Christmas Day, and everybody's out walking around. And so we're totally pretending that it's Christmas. And meanwhile, I think because we were so joyful and so smiley and happy, I mean, people were like looking at us and just like, you know, we were just, I don't know. We just kept, like last night we went to go see the boat parade, and we went to this restaurant, which all the tables said reserved, reserved, reserved. And we just walked in and we're like, hey, do you have any place? They're like, oh, well, we've got this outdoor balcony. It was just like a private room just for us. And I'm like, this is winning, you know. That's amazing. Is so cool.
And normally you could be like, oh, there's no place to
eat
anywhere, and there's no place to park, and like all those limitations that we set up. And instead we're at this higher vibe where it's like ease and flow.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
So yeah, you got to get there, because it's such a wonderful place to live. And I think when you're in the beginning of your journey of meditating and taking control of your mind, you may have this belief that you don't have any control over your thoughts because of momentum, because you've had a lot of momentum built towards having no control over this. So when you start meditating, first of all, one thing you're going to notice is things don't bother you as much. If things don't bother you as much, you're not going to be dipping. So you're going to keep that high vibe, because those are the things that steal your joy and line you up with all sorts of things that don't feel good. So that'll be the very first thing that you notice. And then, I don't even know how long it takes. It depends on how good you can get about being in the present moment. Cause I'm like 20 something years into this journey, and I'm finally like, I think I got it.
Yeah. Right.
At least for now. When my grandbaby comes, it may be a totally different story, because that's a different energy field, but I can prepave that. I can think about that in a way. It feels really good to me right now. So I think it's going to be very different.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting though, because then things might happen. I mean, even, like last night we were sitting out and it was getting chillier, and
Hawaii
my daughter,
girl.
Hawaii girl.
No, it's chilly in California, people. I don't know if you don't live here and you think it's warm here all the time.
Yeah. It was like 55 degrees last night, which to me is
to all of
us. That is cold.
That's parka weather.
Yeah. That is definitely parka weather. But anyway, my daughter had asked if I wanted a jacket. And when we first got there, I was like, no, I'm good. And then we ended up sitting outside, which I did not anticipate we were going to sit outside. And so then,
which people do in California all year round, no matter what the temperature
exactly. Is. So anyway, then I was like, oh yeah, and I really want a jacket. And then my daughter's like, well, I asked you earlier. And I just got like, whoa. And it was so interesting, because as soon as you fall into that rabbit hole, like there's no, it's an old button, right? It's a hot button. And I literally just said, oh, forget it. And I got up and ran away. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like I went to the ladies' room, necessary? And it's just so, but I love to be able to, what's it like, witnessing it from the outside. Like this is a whole new, that's another thing that happens
when you get detached.
Yes. When you get detached, and you can actually like look and be like, wow, that was a really interesting reaction to have.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I just want to encourage you guys, as you're doing the meditation and as you're growing in this practice, to start like, I want to say disassociate. Not that you really want to do that, because you don't want to be institutionalized, but get curious when you have a reaction and be like, wow, what was that about? Rather than keep tumbling down the,
blame,
and blame, right? Because it was not my daughter at all. It was just whatever in the moment, it just triggered something in me. She didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
I was the one that just was like, ah. So,
she's just being her.
And that's the thing, is when you realize everybody's just being them.
Yeah.
And it's your reaction that you're in charge of. Nobody else's. They're just being them, and you don't blame them for anything. And you just say, wow, thank you for, allowing me to get in touch with a new feeling that I didn't even know I had inside of me.
It's so true. My, the lady that I worked with for a long time, my energy healer, she would always say that anger is always failed expectation. So we always have an
Mm.
expectation of people. And then when they don't meet our expectations, we feel disappointment and we feel anger. So it was funny. I was talking to my little one this morning. She's 16. And then my third daughter's 18. And she's leaving for the Marines on January 6th.
Oh, wow.
And she's super anxious. So she's not fun to live with right now. So she basically comes in, yells at everybody, and then she leaves. So they got into a big argument last night. And I said to my little one, and I say this to her a lot, I'm like, don't expect people to be you. Like, don't expect people to be cool, to be, you know, conscious, to be like awake, to act the way you act. And when she told me about what she did last night, I was like, but she always does this. So why do you keep having an expectation of her that's different if you just accept? Because we're in resistance then, right? We're in resistance to how they're acting or feeling, but they're not doing anything different. They're doing what they've always done, you know?
That is, it totally reminds me of back when my husband was sick and I was in therapy. And my mother-in-law just would drive me insane because she never helped with my sick husband. And she was always like, not only would she not help, but she'd call me and be like, Lisa, I need you to do this for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I have like a 1 and a 3-year-old
Right
and you're
now.
asking me to print you out like these flyers for what? And so anyway, I'd be in therapy and just talking about my mother-in-law and just like how she's driving me crazy. And she said, you know, Lisa, I think what you really need to look at is why you keep expecting her to be different, because she's not being different. You know, it's your reaction to her. And that was such a huge wake up call for me to realize, wow, you're right. I just keep expecting it to be different.
Right. And just because we're awake and conscious to things does not mean that people in our life are going to be at that same level. And I always like to be in gratitude of that. Like, I'm so grateful that I don't act like that anymore, because I did. And when I realize that, then it takes the judgment out of it, because it's like, it's just where they are. It was funny. I was talking to Shaman. We're definitely going to have him on. He's from Sedona. And he was saying how people, you know how you say sometimes like, oh, she's such an old soul. Like I say that about my little girl, because she's such an old soul. Like, she loves old music and she's just got this like awakened sense about her. He goes, yeah, but what about the young souls? And I was like, never thought about it that way. Like, what about the people who, like, this is their first time here? And they're teaching us something, you know, whether they're showing us how far we've come, or giving us the opportunity to not judge and to feel compassion for people who are not where we are on our journey, and kind of shine that light to them. So I thought that was really cool. And I look at people differently now when I think about, oh, she's just a young soul. And she just, and some people, I realized this too with one of my daughters recently, like, some people just feel things differently than we do. And for us to say, oh, you shouldn't feel that way, it's like, why shouldn't they feel that way? They feel that way. Like, that's telling them their feelings are wrong. See the Mr. Rogers movie? You saw that, right?
So good.
See the Mr. Rogers
Oh my
movie?
gosh.
God, that was good.
So good.
All about owning our emotions. Like, that guy was so far ahead of his time on getting kids to feel what they need to feel. And if we had kids feeling what they need to feel, we would not have school shootings. Like, I feel like the emotional piece of this that we're sharing with people about really feeling your emotions could eradicate drug addiction, could eradicate shootings, eradicate all of these things that people are just so frustrated about, and they're not allowing themselves to feel. So then they just explode.
They numb it out until they just explode.
Exactly.
Like you said.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't know I was going to go down that road, but apparently I was.
Well, the other thing I wanted to mention, or we were talking about earlier, is just we want to give a shout out to Gwen.
Yay, Gwen!
Gwen listened to the webinar that we did, and really, you know, I don't even want to say she implemented anything. All it did was bring awareness.
It just shifted
right.
something. Yeah.
And you were talking about how she had all this, you know, desire, right? And
strong
then
desire.
As soon as she was just able to be not in resistance of it, boom, everything just started happening.
Well, and I think we get stuck, like you were saying, like we get stuck in these boxes or these shells, and we've got a certain level of thought process that happens where we go, I can't do that, and I can't do that, and how would I do that? And we put all these limitations on ourselves. So when you listen to stuff like what we're teaching, and all of a sudden, like, that neural pathway just like steps out of the way, or you just like, you don't go down it, and you're like, oh, that's right. I'm a deliberate creator, and I can just put something out there and have it be addressed by the universe and invite the universe in. it can happen so fast. That's quantum leaping.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah. Cause that's what's so exciting is that literally Gwen took a quantum leap from being in a situation where for years she thought, you know, she's never going to be able, and let's just say what, so she wrote a message in our group, and you guys can find it, but that she had always wanted to move.
What's Gwen's last name?
Orwellier. Sorry. Hope that's right.
Neither one of us.
But she wanted to live somewhere warmer, and she just never thought that was going to happen because her husband said, no, we have to stay here for my mother-in-law and the grandkids. Well, her mother-in-law passed away in January. And so, you know, it just finally was like Gwen after the webinar was like, wow, wait a minute, maybe things are different now, you know? And again, she could have still had this thought even if her mother-in-law was still alive, I'm going to say.
Yes.
But I think
we should never live our lives for other people.
Right. And we get into these, again, these ruts, these you know, just same thought patterns like, oh, okay, we can't live anywhere until so-and-so dies. Well,
right.
That's not true. You can always change your mind. You can always change what you're doing. But the point is that Gwen really got clear on what she wants in her life. And then boom, it just shifted because she had all this desire and was no longer in resistance to it.
It's so true. And I think when you get yourself in a situation in life where you feel like you're imprisoned, and I think this happens a lot when you're taking care of elderly parents, or, you know, you're just in situations where you feel like you have no control, then you limit the possibilities because you've basically just put a box around your entire life and said, nothing can get in here and I have to live this and suffer this existence. You know, if you're in a job that you hate, like any experience that you're not loving, you are creating strong desire for change, and you have no idea what could happen. The miracles that could take place are just, they're outstanding if you can get yourself out of that, which is exactly what Gwen did.
Oh my gosh. And I have a great story. I just flew over from Hawaii, and I was chatting with a gentleman next to me, and he's like, oh my God, Lisa, something woke me up. And it was talking to this gentleman who had been in jail. And he said, I did. I didn't tell you this part. This is so cool.
What is she talking about?
So this guy he was talking to, you know, said, so what do you think it's like in jail? And Eric's like, well, I don't know. I've never been in jail. He's like, I'll tell you what, they tell you when you wake up, when you can go outside, when you eat, basically when you can go to the bathroom, and, you know, when to go to bed, and you have no choice in the matter. It's like, this is it. But what happened is when Eric heard that, this was this guy's name, he said his mind blew open because he's like, oh my God, I'm living in jail. I'm working in a job where I have to get up at a certain time and eat in order to get to my job in time, which then I can, you know, have my lunch at a certain time and be told when I can go home at time. And then I, you know, yes, I go home, but I'm so locked into this routine of, you know, getting up, going to work, and he hated it. He hated his job.
There's no freedom.
So he's like, oh my God, I'm in jail. So he literally like quit everything, and he moved to Maui, and he started his own business. He said he's never been happier. So I just want to, you know, I'm just sharing that because it's like, what is your prison?
What are you putting yourself in?
Because exactly. Because we create it.
We do. And anything is possible. And whether you've got, you know, kids that are little and you feel like you can't do anything until they get older, it's like, it's all just,
it's all
false belief
it is.
system.
It's totally false.
Yeah, completely.
I'm going to see if anybody else has any questions. Hi, ladies.
Yay.
Great. Jenna Morris,
nice
Jen
lunch
Swick.
Break surprise. Heidi's on her lunch break.
Heidi, nice to see you.
Yay.
Elaine.
Awesome.
Hi, guys.
Fun to have people here.
Yeah. Awesome.
We love this
Krista,
group.
Jeffrey. Hey, Jeffrey. Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh, look, that Pete just says, boom. Yes.
Go Pete. I can't wait to see
we
what
love
Pete's gonna do. I just feel like if you guys didn't watch the webinar, Pete was on the webinar and he shared. And you know what I loved about the people that shared on the webinar? Like they just put themselves out there.
Yeah.
And it was like being vulnerable. There's so much strength in vulnerability because we're reaching out and reaching beyond ourselves to say, I don't have this figured out. Lisa and I don't have it figured out.
No.
We've got a handle on it. I definitely think we have a handle on it at this point, enough to be able to share with you guys what we're doing to create success in our lives, whether it's joy, abundance, love, whatever it is. So but we're the first ones to say,
we don't have it figured out.
We don't have it figured out.
But we have taken leaps. That's the thing,
Yeah.
is we have taken, quantum leaps in for ourselves. And that's the exciting part, is that's what we're here to share with you guys, is really, not only talking about it, but that we've actually done it, and we've done it multiple times, and how it just keeps expanding our existence.
Yeah.
And so,
shifted. Like we
yeah.
both have shifted so many times, and we've been such a product of each other's, benefit of each other,
Yeah,
working
from
with each other
supporting
to
each
be able to
other.
help each other shift. So we're like, well,
Yeah.
why can't we just do this for everybody? 'Cause
Yeah.
It's fun and it's cool to watch people do that. Like Gwen's
Yeah.
post was amazing. It felt really good.
Absolutely.
So anything is possible. You are totally in control. Get control of your mind. If you're not meditating every day, we will definitely just like we're going to keep hammering that, because that is the key to everything. I feel like if we can get people to meditate for 15 minutes a day, it's life-changing. Yeah. It's completely life-changing.
It totally is. And especially at this time of year, again, with the holidays upon us, it's more important than ever to really just have that moment of down time for yourself, and to go within and really just be centered in yourself. And I mean, to me, again, this year, it's been life-changing. I feel like too, as the energy in the world or the universe is shifting, it's like, it's more important than ever to be, in union with yourself.
Completely. And that's what's going to change and shift our world, is if we all recognize our power, if we all start healing from our wounds, and we stop becoming so reactive to what's happening outside of us, and instead decide that we create our own realities, we're going to create realities that are going to be very different than what we've seen before.
Yeah. That's so exciting. Yeah. Is there anything else? Let's see if anybody, here's Pete. He says, one day after the webinar, I got an email from a client who wanted an astrology forecast. So I did it for her.
Wow. I didn't know Pete did that. That's cool.
Let's see more. It's not wanting me to open. Maybe you can open it on yours. I don't know. We're looking it up. Sorry, Pete. We can't read it all.
Meanwhile, my phone is not even picked up.
You're not even seeing it. Okay, great.
No, we gotta just turn that off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, now it says Goldyn's watching. How good is that?
I'm here. Okay, so I did one for her, and that paid for my grandkids' Christmas presents.
Nice. How cool is that?
So that's really cool, Pete, because I remember we had talked about, the fact that you have this income coming in, and it's the belief that that's the only way you can make money. So like immediately the universe showed you like there's this whole other way to make money.
Yeah.
And now you've got this gift that we didn't even know you had.
Right.
You didn't share that with us. So that's pretty cool to know that you do astrology forecasts. And
that's
people are super interested in astrology. And
for sure,
I think people are super interested in anything that goes beyond themselves, because we do get so addicted to the physical reality that we forget. Oh, we got to talk about this. We forget that there's this whole energetic world outside of us.
Oh my God.
One day I was at the gym at my apartment complex. This was years ago. And I never watched daytime TV, and Dr. Oz was on. And he had this woman on, Anita Morjani, and she was talking. I was so floored that I stopped working out and I just sat there and watched it. She was talking about, she had a near-death experience, and she was talking about what happened when she went on the other side. And she said, it's like we're here with a flashlight. And when you go there, the spotlight comes on. Wow. And you see all of this energy at play, and all of this energy in co-creative partnership with you, working towards what you're looking to do. So I watched that, and it completely floored the way I think about things, but I still, maybe not anymore, but I still could have we can still have a tendency to forget, because we're like, what we're looking at is real. I know people that say I'm a realist. I'm like, ooh,
yeah, don't do that.
Right.
Don't believe in reality.
Right. So like, if you look at your bank account and it kind of sucks right now, it's like, well, how can I shift that and feel abundant despite my bank account, so that my bank account can, break down and become something different. Yeah.
So you can quantum leap into your,
and it's all about the way you feel. Money comes based on the way you feel about it. So check in. Are you feeling constricted when you spend money? Is Christmas really a stress on you because you spend money you don't have? Can you feel different about it? If you're going to do it anyways, right? Because we've got kids and we feel obligated to pay for them. Like my teenagers say, like, oh, the girls got presents until they were 27, so you're not getting out of it with us, right? Like, they just make Christmas kind of suck that way. But if I could shift that and just be like, this is all about loving and giving. And it's been so different for me buying gifts this year, because because I feel that way. So if you're going to do it, why not think about it? Why not wrap a different story around it?
Yeah,
right.
I
Instead
love
of being
it.
like, oh, this is the credit card and we got to max the credit card out. And it's like, well, how can you do that differently? There's got to be
Right.
a way, right?
Right. Well,
When
and
you
I
start
love it.
inviting it in.
And I love it too when you start thinking about what you're spending the money on. Like this year, to me, it was all about experiences.
Yes.
So, you know, I splurged and took the whole family ice skating, you know, which it was pricey. But oh my God, like we are going to have that memory forever that we were skating on, and literally you could see the beach waves crashing just beyond where the ice rink was.
Yep.
And it was so much fun. And so we got this VIP table that was right on the side, and it had its own fireplace.
I love
and
VIP
yeah, I know, VIP. It
It
makes it so much fun.
I kind of have a mantra that I'm always VIP.
Like, that's right. That's right.
It's just the way I like to do things. Because why not do something to its ultimate level instead of being like, oh, we should save money.
Well, and that's it. At the end of the day, you know, on your deathbed, are you going to think, oh, thank God I saved that $15 a person by not doing the VIP table?
No, you're going to think about that VIP experience and thank God I did it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly
a couple of years ago, Mike had given me this. If you've ever seen the show Cavalia, have you ever seen that?
I've heard of it.
Oh my God. So we were driving. This is when we first got to California, or maybe 3 years later. We're driving and I see this huge white tent and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I look it up and it is the most amazing show I've ever seen in my life. And it's people that do these beautiful dances with horses.
Oh, right. I remember.
And they're so beautiful and kind and loving to the horses that you can just tell there's a lot of love. So the tickets were like, I want to say they were like $250 each. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to get there. So I just forgot about it. My husband gave it to me for Christmas and he did the whole VIP experience, which meant we got to see the horses go into their stables after. And
oh my God,
we were at the top of our joy. But I got the present and I looked at it and I thought, this is too much, right? Unworthiness. This is too much. And normally I would regret the money that he spent because at that time we were in that still in that financial a little bit. And I just made a conscious decision to say, I'm totally worth it. And it doesn't matter. Like, that's right. It doesn't matter. Right. And we had talked about that recently, like when you get angsty about what you're spending at Christmas. And I'm like, yeah, but remember what you spent at Christmas last year and it didn't matter.
Right. Doesn't matter.
You totally did it. And now like a year later, it's like, what did we buy you guys for Christmas last year? It's like, if you can just let all the mental angst go, you're going to shift into abundance where 2 years later, I wouldn't even I would totally do something like that just on a whim, right? Not make it feel like this big thing that we did.
That is so cool.
It's all about the way we feel.
It is.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And to catch that feeling, as soon as you feel that unworthiness, just be like, oh, that's where this whole that what we were talking about earlier is, where you just can look back and observe and be like, oh, wow, I'm feeling a sense of unworthiness right now. Let me just sit with that and feel that. Don't resist it, but just really feel into it. Yeah. And then maybe even ask yourself, what does this remind me of? And typically it'll be something from your past that, comes up, and then you can just really feel into that. And if you feel emotion, ideally let it go, whether it's cry or hit a pillow or, do whatever you need to move that emotion.
Just let it work through
But then it's just like, oh, that's how you clear it. That's how you just start feeling so much better about it.
Oh my God, that was good.
Yeah. Cool.
So we are totally in control.
Yeah.
All the time. So is there anything else?
I know. Let's see if anybody else had anything. Oh, hey, Dutch, my dancing buddy in Maui. I don't know if it's going up or down.
No, I think these were the beginning.
The beginning one. Okay, there we go. All right. And then, Thomas says, thanks so much. Love this.
Yay.
You help me stay on track often.
Thomas, you're a positive force of nature on Facebook. You really are. I love your posts and I just feel your energy is so clean.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely.
Oh, and Diane's here. Diane.
Hey, Diane.
So, this holiday season, you guys, you have the ability.
Jenny Mac.
Yeah. You have the ability to make it something really special and wonderful in your own right.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be about other people. It doesn't have to be about obligations. One thing I've realized in my life, when I do stop feeling obligated to people, they take care of themselves. They might have issues in the beginning, but if your energy is clean, if you're like, I'm solid in the way I feel and I'm solid, people think it's selfishness. but it's really about being the most joyful, happiest, beneficial person in the world. And if we're resentful and we're always doing things out of obligation, we're not that person.
That's right.
So we're not doing
So
anyone
you're not
any
doing
good.
any favors
I've
when you do
noticed
that.
people will come in and take care of things when I let them go, when they
Mhm.
weren't really serving me.
Yeah.
And then everyone benefits because I'm happier and more joyful and my energy is just cleaner.
Yeah, that is so true. Because so
Right?
many times people are doing things, right, for other people, but really it's either out of guilt or resentment, or they're kind of hoping for something in return.
Yeah.
It's got to be, the more clean your energy is, the more just, you know, the energy just flows.
And supports you.
And supports you,
you
right.
in whatever you've let go of and whatever you've, you know, released to. And the problem is guilt.
Yeah.
God, if you can let anything go, guilt would probably be the best thing.
Guilt, because that, again, it's not
it
serving
serves
any.
nothing.
No.
It serves nothing, and I'm not sure even where it comes from. I think probably our parents just did that to us, or the church, or I don't know. But well, it's just
our society is all about guilt and you know, making people like feel bad if they're not doing, you know,
if they're being selfish.
Which again, to me,
it's self-love.
Yeah.
If you really look at it as self-love, and you know, the thing is when you're filled up and you're full of your own self-love, you're going to want to serve other people because it's going to be bubbling out of you, but then you're going to be doing it from a different vibration. So then it's going to be received differently. It's going to not feel like work. It's just going to be a completely different energy surrounding it.
That's exactly right. I love that. I love it so much.
So meditate. That would be a number one, and don't let it go by the wayside over these holidays. I'm super challenged because I've got a lot of people here. So I've got to like really take that time to just say, I'm going to do this, or I will lay in bed in the morning before I get up and do like a guided, just something to get me back in. Because otherwise we're super reactive to things. We're not real solid in our consciousness.
Yeah. And just like for me, as soon as I wake up, I just, I have a headset next to my bed and I just put it on and I turn on like a 20-minute or a 30-minute audio or, you know, music.
Yep.
And just, you know, even if I don't sit up, just to have 20 minutes of just sitting there and letting that go and breathing, listening to my breath. So that's my little secret, is before I get out of bed. Because once I'm out of bed and moving around, it's like really hard.
It's easy for it to go.
Yeah.
And we do have the guided meditations are coming to you. A few of you guys had pre-ordered. We have pre-order on my website, goldenduffy.com. And we'll have those to you as soon as possible. They are all done. They just need to be matched to the music. And we're hoping to do that when we're together.
Yeah. And those will be MP3s. You'll get a link that you can download onto your computer and or device so that you can listen to them.
Do we have any other announcements?
We're putting together our Hawaii Maui retreat. So that's going to be in the spring. So
super exciting.
We've got all the,
so if you're planning a vacation or you're looking for a retreat, like keep us in mind before you book anything, because we're going to have an amazing thing planned, and will just be probably a 3 or 4 day thing. So you can actually go and enjoy Maui. And maybe we could even put together a little suggestions list of what they can do in Maui, since you live there and know what to do. But we are going to have probably one of the most life-changing retreats ever.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a total quantum leap.
So it's going to be so much fun. And then you'll get to meet us. It'll be oh, I can't wait.
I know.
And it's going to get me to Hawaii.
That's right.
My husband.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is necessary and important at this point.
So next week, we have a special guest.
We have a special guest, a really good friend of mine who has an amazing inspirational story. And I think him sharing it is going to be very healing for him. I don't think he's shared some stuff on Facebook, but he is a Facebook friend. I've never met him, but we became really good friends on Facebook, and he has just been through the most harrowing thing. And it was based on something he was doing in service. So he could have been really resentful that this thing happened to him, but he has shifted into such a gratitude every day that I'm kind of blown away by it. And I've really never seen him, you know, sad about the journey that he's been on, because a lot of things have been taken away from him because of this. So I think he reached out to me, and that's how we're kind of doing our guests. People are reaching out and we're just like, yeah, let's do it. You know, people have stories to share. And I think it also will give us great perspective even on our lives, because we can tend to lose the gratitude for just the plain old walking around, you know, just getting on your feet every day and being able to walk around. I think he's going to help us to feel gratitude for that.
Yeah,
for sure. Because
I
he hasn't
love
been
it.
able to walk for like a year. It's been really,
Oh my goodness.
really intense.
Well,
Yeah.
that'll
So I'm
be
excited to share that with you guys.
so. Yeah, so be sure to stay or
Tune in Monday.
That'll be next Monday at our normal time, which
Right.
is 11:11 Hawaii time, which is 1:11 Pacific time.
And let us know if you guys have questions. We are here to support you in the group. This group has become, you know, a sounding board, not for complaining, but for a place where you can come that we can help you shift. And we have plenty of people in there that have higher perspective as well. So let's just be that support system to each other.
Absolutely. And we have almost 900 people, which is amazing. So
cool.
again,
Yeah.
invite your friends.
Keep inviting. Facebook
Yep.
put me on. I think they're not letting me invite people anymore.
Oh, are you in jail?
I over invited people.
All right. So it's your job then to invite people.
Please, the
as
group's
well.
not going to grow without
That's
you
right.
at this point.
That's right. We need to grow our presence so we can all be this beautiful light.
Absolutely.
This beautiful light for the world, because we truly are changing the world.
Yeah, and we're all one. We're all in this
That's
community
right.
together. We're all a part of this journey of expansion and growth, especially if you're in this group. It means that you're at a level in your life where you're interested of going beyond the physical.
Mhm.
And that's what this is all about.
Right.
Non-physical support, co-creative partnership with the universe, and just believing that you are an expression of all that is, that you are here to express and that your desires are valid.
Mhm.
You know, that's the other thing I think we think, like, especially if you want material things, you know, people think, well, that's so superficial and so egotistical, but it's like, it's just life being called through you. If you didn't desire anything,
Right.
you'd go
That's
live in the woods.
That's
right?
what desires come from, is from our, you know, the non-physical, like giving us these little ideas,
Yeah.
giving us little, you know, nuggets of like, oh, wouldn't that be fun if I experienced that? So don't discount them or think they're wrong. Just be like, oh, wow,
silly.
how exciting. Like,
Yeah.
I want to try that, or else, you know, you wouldn't have the desire.
It's how we become more powerful. It's how
Yeah.
we really step into our power and know who we are and know what we're capable of.
Exactly.
For sure.
That's
cool.
so cool. Awesome.
So it's a short show today, but that's all right.
Yeah. So there's one more thing that's
Yeah.
just coming up that reminded me. One of the gals talked about, and maybe this was the original one. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but how do you know when it's you should do the work on yourself?
Oh, that was a great
versus it's you have resistance, so you should walk away. Do you remember that? I could try to look it up, but it's kind of like she's been doing this like meetup group or something, and and people are just not, it's just not working, and she's been working on it. So she's like, well, no, I guess I should change my attitude. I need to work on me to make it work. And
actually my friend Karen had a post about that too. Like, maybe I need to stay with this thing
right.
that sucks
So when
bad.
do you know how to like stop? Versus like, you know, in a marriage, you're like, oh, it's not working, I'm out of here. It's like, no, like
the physical will always show you.
Yeah.
So like with something that is consistently not working over and over again, no matter what you try, then you know.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is it doesn't matter, because if you don't let it go, it's just going to get so sucky that
you're right. It's like, that's the nails in the coffin thing.
If you don't know, just hang in there, because it's going to show you, and you're going to get clear as you go along. It's great to shift your attitude on anything.
Yeah.
Right. But it is not great to tolerate things that take you out of your joy so often.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say really pay attention to the energy and the way it makes you feel. And then let the universe show you evidence, because it will get worse if it's meant to.
That's a good point. And even in a relationship, that's how it works, you know, because if you have a partner who's willing to do the work, then it typically, you know, it ebbs and flows, but you know, it gets better. But if your partner isn't willing to do the work, or if you decide you're not willing to do the work, or if, you know, there is abuse or anything like that, then it's an absolute no-go. I mean, it's very clear when it gets intolerable, you know, and then you can step out with clear conscience. But, you know, I think you're right. You can't make a mistake. It's just a matter of how much are you willing to just keep drudging yourself through a situation.
Right. Because then as it gets worse and worse and worse, then it just becomes more and more of an indication that you should let it go.
Right.
There was another girl in here who had asked about alignment, and she was like, how do you know when you're in alignment? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
She had a couple of really interesting questions. And it's funny, because if you question, how do I know if I'm in alignment, then you're not in alignment.
You're not in alignment. Exactly.
Alignment for me, it's pure joy, bliss, and nothing is bothering me.
Yeah.
I'm just in a state of thankfulness, where like every one of my thought patterns is just thank you, I
Yes.
love this,
And
thank
the
you.
flow is just effortless.
Yeah,
It's
you can
not
feel
like,
there's no
right.
resistance,
No
there's no
resistance.
trying to push the energy and make something happen. You're just in alignment with things in a way that feels like your life feels like ease and flow. And if you're questioning alignment, my advice would be definitely commit to a meditation practice, because that will show you full on alignment.
Yeah,
It's just like
absolutely.
there's nothing in the way,
Mhm.
it just feels like just ease. And even in contrast, even when you have problems, even when you have challenges show up, you'll gain the perspective pretty quickly and say, I can't wait to see what manifests from this.
Yeah.
Because I know when things get really, really weird and in what we like to label as bad, they're part of my expansion and growth, and something really good is going to come from
Yeah.
this.
That's when it's actually a great time to get excited about, oh my gosh, I wonder what's going to happen, because
Right.
things are falling apart all around me. So that means something better is
Right.
definitely on the way.
Right. And the only way to really gain your grounding in that, like gain some sort of control in that, is to control this.
Yeah.
Like that's the only
That's it.
real control we have, is to gain control of this and to gain the perspective that you have. And if you can gain that higher perspective, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other fun part, is that typically it's so new. And because that's the other thing I realize is, here I am trying to control everything. Well,
Right.
that's not fun. Like all these
No.
surprises, like going ice skating on, our Christmas day. Like, what a great surprise. That wasn't part of my plan. That wasn't part of anything that, I mean, my daughter had mentioned it and I'm just like, oh my God, that sounds so fun,
Yeah.
and, so again,
Then you made it happen.
totally. And
Yeah.
and again, initially there was some resistance. It was like, wow, that's kind of expensive. And then it was like, oh, but who cares? Because this is an experience that we're going to remember forever. So the whole money thing is just, that's a constant drag, but you got to just recognize the resistance and then work your way through it, which is really, it's so exciting when you can do that.
And it's a great practice. And it is
Yes.
something that we have to practice in order to get good at, just like meditation. If we want to get good at meditation, we first of all have to meditate. We second of all have to believe that we can get good at it. And
Mhm.
third, we just have to really work at it. And
Yeah.
by work, I just mean sit and release, sit and release, sit and release. Just let go, let the thoughts go. And
Yeah.
eventually you're going to find this bliss in there that is complete alignment.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
feels so good.
Yeah, it does.
Awesome.
All right. We love you
All
guys.
right. We love you guys.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.